So why should you care about the difference between a fiduciary financial advisor and a stockbroker? Well, if I told you that there were hundreds of thousands of dollars at stake, would you care then? Keep watching to find out more. Hey there, folks. I'm Patrick King, financial planner and host of Transformative Television. On this channel, we have a soft spot for people who are going through the divorce process or have lost a spouse or a loved one. But of course, we work with anyone who is ready to transform their financial lives for the better. If that's you, if you're going through a transition in life, please consider subscribing for more of these types of videos. And if you need financial help through one of these life changes, don't hesitate to give me a call. But in today's episode, fiduciary financial advisor, stockbroker, what's the difference? Why should you care? Well, there might be hundreds of thousands of reasons, maybe even millions, for you to give a damn. Here we go. All right, folks, for today's episode, what I want to do is propose a thought experiment. It's cold and flu season here in Atlanta, so let's just say in this scenario, you come down with a little sniffle. You got a little scratch in the back of your throat. You feel like you might get coming down with something. All right, so who do you go see? That was ridiculous, but who do you go see? In this thought experiment, let's just say you've got a friend who is a pharmaceutical sales rep. You could go to this friend and say, hey, bud, feel like I'm coming down with a little something. What you got for me? So in this scenario, that friend only has access to the drugs that are available through the company that he or she works for, right? So in this case, they go out to the car, because I'm just assuming that all the samples are kept in the trunk at all times. You know, he gives you the samples and you take it, and you might feel better. It might actually make you better. But it's certainly not the best option. This person doesn't have the years of education, experience, and wisdom that comes along with being a doctor to be able to actually diagnose your situation. Not only that, it's completely illegal and unethical. But let's put that aside for right now. We'll come back to that one. So who else could you go see? You could go see the doc in the box, or go see your doctor, your family physician, whoever it is. I like the doc in the box in this case. Hey doc, bam, 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 right, fill out the forms, because you got to fill out like 8 of these days. You go in, especially the doc in the box, they've seen everything, right? So, hey, we've got 200 people come through with these same symptoms. Pretty sure it's this. It's a virus. Get some sleep, drink plenty of water. Here's some Robitussin with, whatever they stick in it to knock you out at night. And here's a Z-Pack in case it turns into a secondary bacterial deal. Bye-bye. Come back in 2 weeks if you're not better. Okay, in this scenario, in our hypothetical situation, this is a much, much better solution. Is it the best solution? Hey, maybe not. But in this case, at least you know that they know what they're doing. They're working in your best interest. They're not beholden to a particular pharmaceutical company, unless the rep has been taking him out every Friday night for drinks or steaks or whatever. But let's put that aside. But for the most part, this is a better solution. It may not be an optimal solution, but it's much better. That doctor's working to get you from -1, being sick, to 0, to not being sick again. All right, so that's option number 2 in our thought experiment. And option 3, what I want to propose is, let's say instead you go to a doctor that practices integrative medicine. All right, so they're not only going to work to get you better, to help you get over this cold, but they're like, hey, how do we improve your life all the way around? Let's take a look at your labs. Let's do some scans. They're going to ask you about what your nutrition looks like. What's your diet like? What are you eating? Let's tweak that a little bit. Hey, how's your sleep? Maybe they'll order a sleep study. They're going to ask you about exercise. They might put you in touch with a personal trainer. They might recommend that you go to the gym or go to yoga once a week, or maybe more than once a week. But they're going to look at your whole life, every aspect of your health, and they're going to make recommendations for that. It's not about just getting you from -1 to 0. That person's trying to get you from -1 to +1. All right, so here in this thought experiment, we've got option 1, the pharmaceutical sales rep, which isn't a real option for your health. You've got the doc in the box, and you've got the integrative medicine doctor. So how that applies to the financial services industry would be the pharmaceutical sales rep would be your stockbroker or insurance salesman. I'll use those interchangeably, but they're basically the same type of person. They're a salesman. They're going to give you a product, and they're limited to the product that their employer sells. They've got an incentive to sell you certain products over others, and they're not required to put your best interests ahead of theirs. If you know that there's a better option, why on earth would you do that? That's why it's illegal in the practice of medicine. Why it is not required for the financial planning profession or financial services industry, I have no idea. All right, so the integrative medicine doctor in this case, I would call the equivalent in the financial services would be the NAPFA financial advisors, National Association of Personal Financial Advisors. These are the fee-only fiduciary financial advisors that are dedicated to looking at every single part of your financial life and making sure you go from -1 to +1, or from 0 to +1. They're trying to make your life better. They're not just trying to slap a Band-Aid on things, sell you a product. They are required by law to put your interests ahead of theirs. They are independent, and they have the universe of investments to pick from so they can choose the best and lowest cost ones for you, right? So again, why on earth wouldn't you work with someone like that? Your normal family doctor, or the doc in the box, as I like to joke, a lot of times they're getting you from -1 to 0. And there are plenty of even fiduciary advisors out there who aren't beholden to a company and whatever those products are that company sells, but they don't go the full distance when it comes to looking at your entire financial health. So again, NAPFA is the place to look for those folks who are really going to look after you, who are going to look over your entire financial situation, aren't looking just to get you over this cold. They're looking to make you healthy for the rest of your life. Link to NAPFA in the show notes. Look for an advisor in your area there. Full disclosure, I am a NAPFA member as well, something I very much believe in. So, all right, so one last thought I want to leave you with is that fiduciary advisors tend to be so much more cheaper than brokers anyway. How much are we talking here? It's big bucks. Now, depending on the advisor and the broker, I've seen differences between 0.5% to 1.5% even. Differences in their fees. So to give you an idea, while 1.5% maybe doesn't sound like a lot, to give you an idea, let's say you retired with $1 million and your money's growing at 7% per year at both advisors, equal growth. The difference in fees over a 30-year retirement for that person ends up being $1.6 million in favor of the fiduciary financial advisor, who is less expensive. It's big bucks. In fact, I don't even know while I'm still selling this. Like if you guys haven't figured this out by now, I just can't help you. Again, check out NAPFA. The link is in the show notes. And by the way, those numbers don't even factor in the additional return that most clients see from working with one of those holistic financial health advisors like a NAPFA advisor. That's like a whole nother level that we're not even counting here. I'll do another video on that at some point soon. So, all right, folks, that's what I got for today. Thank you so much for watching. Click like, click subscribe below. If you've got a comment, please leave that. I'd love to hear from you. In the meantime, I'm Patrick King. This is Transformative Television. Till next time, take a deep breath. Got this. Cheers.